Hello, I'm Charlotte Williamson from the Covington Women's Club, and I'm here to read a few books for you. Since we can't be there in person, we're doing it by video. This book is called When I Was Young in the Mountains, and it's written by Cynthia Ryland. This is a Caldecott award-winning book. When I was young in the mountains, my grandfather came home in the evening covered with black dust of a coal mine. Only his lips were clean, and he used them to kiss the top of my head. When I was young in the mountains, Grandmother spread the table with hot cornbread, pinto beans, and fried okra. Later, in the middle of the night, she walked through the grass with me to the Johnny house and held my hand in the dark. I promised never to eat more than one serving of okra again. When I was young in the mountains, we walked across the cow pasture and through the woods carrying our towels. The swimming hole was dark and muddy, and we sometimes saw snakes, but we jumped in anyway. Here's the swimming hole. When I was young in the mountains, we pumped pails of water from the well at the bottom of the hill and heated the water to fill tin tubs for our baths. And this is something that I really did when I was growing up. Pumped the water. Afterward, we stood in front of the old black stove, shivering and giggling while Grandmother heated cocoa on top. So here. When I was young in the mountains, we went to church in the schoolhouse on Sundays and sometimes walked with the congregation through the cow pasture to the dark swimming hole for baptisms. When I was young in the mountains, I listened to frogs sing at dusk and awoke to cowbells outside my window. Sometimes a black snake came in the yard, and my grandmother would threaten it with a hoe. If it did not leave, she used the hoe to kill it. 4 of us once draped a very long snake, did of course cross our necks for a photograph. I never did that. When I was young in the mountains, I never wanted to go to the ocean. I never wanted to go to the desert. I never wanted to go anywhere else in the world, for I was in the mountains. And that was always enough. So here she is. The next book I'm going to read is called A Frog in the Bog. Now this is a rhyming book, and you probably have read some rhyming books before. This is by Charlotte Williamson and Joan Rankin. There's a frog on the log in the middle of the bog. The small green frog on a half-sunk log in the middle of the bog. Here. He flicks one tick as it creeps up a stick. One tick in the belly of a small green frog on a half-sunk log in the middle of the bog, and the frog grows a little bit bigger. He sees 2 fleas as they leap through the weeds. One tick, 2 fleas in the belly of the frog on a half-sunk log in the middle of the bog, and the frog grows a little bit bigger. So here's the frog in the bog. He spies 3 flies as they buzz through the skies. 1 tick, 2 fleas, 3 flies, oh my, in the belly of the frog on a half-sunk log in the middle of the bog. And the frog grows a little bit bigger. He glugs 4 slugs as they slink through the sludge. 1 tick, 2 fleas, 3 flies, oh my, 4 slugs, ooh, ugh, in the belly of the frog, in a half-sunk log in the middle of the bog, and the frog grows a little bit bigger. So he's eating all the bugs. He inhales 5 snails from their heads to their tails. 1 tick, 2 fleas, 3 flies, oh my, 4 slugs, ooh, ugh, and 5 slimy snails in the bottom of the frog on the half-sunk log in the middle of the bog. What a hog, that frog. Here are all the things that frog has eaten. And the frog grows a little bit bigger. And then that log with the frog in the middle of the bog starts to rise, and the frog sees eyes. And the frog sees claws and a big set of jaws and the mouth like a crater, and the frog screams, "Gator! Alligator!" With his mouth open wide, all the bugs inside start to crawl and fly and to slither and slide. Out comes 5 snails with their heads, from their heads to their tails. All right, now they're all going to come out. 4 slugs, ooh, ugh, 3 flies. Oh, wait a minute, let me turn it around so you can see. 3 flies. 2 fleas, dear me. 1 tick, ick. The bugs in the bog. Oh, wait a minute, this one. And right in the middle of his holler, that frog grows a lot smaller. "See you later," says the gator as he romps through the swamp, 'cause the itty-bitty frog isn't big enough to chomp. Now, the bugs in the bog keep away from the frog, and the frog never sits on a half-sunk log. So that's a good story. Now, you might have learned a song called "I Know a No Lady Who Swallowed a Fly. I don't know why she swallowed a fly." And then there were other things that she swallowed, but it started with she swallowed a fly. Now, this book is called Where the Wild Things Are. Story and pictures are by Maurice Sendak. This was a favorite of my children when they were growing up, and they really liked it, Where the Wild Things Are. Now, here are the wild things, and this is Max. So this story is going to be about Max and all these wild things. The night Max wore his wolf suit, and made mischief of one kind. That's Max. One kind and another. His mother called him Wild Things, and Max said, "I'll eat you up." So he was sent to bed without eating anything. That very night in Max's room, a forest grew. And grew and grew. It grew until his ceiling hung with vines, and the walls became the world all around. Think he's imagining this? And an ocean tumbled by with a private boat for Max, and he sailed off through night and day. This is the boat. And in and out of weeks, and almost over a year to where the wild things are. And when he came to the place where the wild things are, they roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws. Do you think Max is afraid? Well, we'll see. Max said, "Be still," and tamed them with the magic trick of staring into all their yellow eyes without blinking once. And they all were frightened and called him the most wild thing of all. They made him king of all the wild things. And now, cried Max, "let the wild rumpus start." Oh, they're all singing and dancing in the night. Here they are, swinging through the trees. And Max he's becoming the one who's leading them all. But the wild things cried, "Oh, please don't go. We'll eat you up. We love you so." And Max said, "No." The wild things roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws. But Max stepped into his private boat and waved goodbye and sailed back over a year and in and out of weeks and through a day. So here's Max back in the boat. And into the night of his own room where he found his supper waiting for him. And it was still hot.